You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Are you looking for a place to listen to your favorite music and sports? Look no further. WLSN, the Lieb Sports and Music Network, is a web-based music and sports network. Our network was created to provide authentic, high-energy entertainment through live streaming to a national audience. We play popular music while hosting podcasts from all over the world. Curious? Check us out on the web at liebsports.com. That's LEEIB sports.com. Or find us on the TuneIn Radio app. Got Alexa? Just say, Alexa, play WLSN on TuneIn. WLSN is America's #1 blog-themed sports and music network.
Hey, everyone in, let's go. Huddle up on 3. 1, 2, 3, huddle up.
I don't want them to gain another yard.
You blitz all night. If they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm going to take every last one of you out. You make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans.
The Eagles will keep the offense out there in a 4th and goal from the 1.
You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Hold on. Here we go.
I would feel better at this point taking the 3 points.
Here we go.
And if you make it, it's great. But if you don't make it, it's a big momentum swing.
Philly special. Here we go.
Goes directly to Clement. Clement reverses it. And it is a touchdown by Nick Foles.
Let's go.
Russian 3, dropping 8. Uiagalelei steps up, loads and throws. It's caught. It's pitched backwards, up in the air. It's on the ground, still in Clemson's hands. And now it is down. It is over. And the Irish have knocked off #1 Clemson.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
We did it our way, baby. We did it.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Huddle Up Podcast. We are live Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We are glad to be with you on a Tuesday night, September the 14th, 2021. Some of the cast of characters are back. Matt back with us this week. Kyle Nash, the student of the game, back with us, and another friend of the show. Not as frequently, but maybe more frequently moving forward. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Ernest Christian, back with us. How you guys doing tonight, EJ? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Kyle?
So, listen, sticking with the Notre Dame intro, huh? Even after we found out they needed
Seriously, dude.
with a team that, needed that got lost and beat to Jacksonville State, that's still going to be a thing?
Thank you.
I mean,
At least I didn't call you a Patriots fan.
it's one of the last good memories I have. Let me have this.
By the way, I can't win anywhere, Jim. Giants suck. Florida State sucks. And, my sort of like Kyle's little thing about I'm a Patriots fan. They lose too. So, I mean, hey, what the hell? Is it basketball? Is it basketball season yet?
I mean, yeah, you're in trouble, my guy. If I were you, basketball season around the corner, I would find a hockey team as well, because football not treating you so well, and you're still a Mets fan, right? I mean, I can't talk about baseball. I can't really sling shit about baseball because the Orioles are literally the worst thing just ever. But
I mean, the crossover to the 3-count audience, the thing that EJ has going for him is go Heat, bitch. That's
right. Tried and true. You know how it is.
That is true, Matt. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Both my teams won this weekend.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I don't think it's that, dude. The two teams I can't stand the most in the respective, genres.
But at least they beat the Falcons, EJ. I know you're about that.
How's Danny doing?
Find out Thursday on Beyond the Buzzer, because allegedly he's actually going to do the show this week. So we'll be ready to go at 9:00 Eastern on the Beyond the Buzzer Facebook page. Or if your name happens to be Jay Christian, well, we'll just see you when we see you. Anyways,
that's true.
You can, of course, follow the show Twitter and Facebook. We're at Huddle Up Podcast. Our merchandise over at whatamaneuver.net. You heard the sounders for our networks. So, guys, let's jump right into it.
What a move! What a move!
After, I don't have Tim. I don't have Tim here.
Yeah, come on, buddy.
I should probably
just cut that audio and play it over yourself.
I probably should.
I'll take over. I'll do it. I'm here. What a move!
Thank you. This past weekend, USC had a pitiful loss at home, 42-28 to the Stanford Cardinal, and the tenure of Clay Helton. Unfortunately, for me as a Notre Dame fan, the tenure of Clay Helton at USC has come to an end. He had just started 2 games into his 7th season. 46-24 was his record, and I know it doesn't sound like a whole lot. And Andrew checking in here, he said the Orioles 44 runs allowed in 3 games to the Blue. Yeah, it's brutal.
That's yourself, man. It's over for the Orioles. Let's go. See you next in spring training.
It was over before spring training started for the Orioles. But I know Andrew had commented that Clay Helton, it didn't necessarily seem like it was that bad. But to me, I think it's when you have the talent level that USC has, and you continue to underperform, you lose games that you shouldn't, and in manners that you shouldn't. And I think a loss like this past weekend at home to Stanford was the final straw. I don't think there's a lot to say about the tenure of Clay Helton, but where does USC go from here? I know there's some buzz from Adam Schefter today that potentially Eric Bieniemy may be a target for the Trojans, and I think if nobody in the NFL is going to give that guy a job, why not at least one of the most recognizable programs in college football? But I saw some of the jokes yesterday that Urban Meyer is going to start having some health problems real quick in Jacksonville and make his way to US. But in all seriousness, and Kyle, I'll start it over with you. Where does USC go from here? I mean, we're what, almost 2 decades removed from when they were on the top of the college football world, and they look, just dramatically far from that.
Yeah, no, and listen, I think, you mentioned all the stuff you did. Let's not leave out that we're also a week removed from bring that ass on with those girly white uniforms. Hold that tiger.
And then loses.
Right, exactly.
Right, UCLA is back, looking great, or looking at least pretty darn good.
It was a couple of that.
If Chip Kelly wasn't in there making UCLA look good and showing that Pac-12 prominence can be a thing that happens. And oh, by the way, Oregon doing things to Ohio State, I wasn't ready for that. The LSU thing, I'm like, yeah, listen, they were one of the most affected teams by COVID last year. They're still rebuilding from having literally the great offense in college football statistically of all time. Them making a beat is certainly, with UCLA coming back, I can talk my way out of that. But the whole Ohio State thing, that happening, it's not so much that the losses were bad for USC. It's just, if I'm in the USC front office, I'm scared as hell what's going on in the rest of the conference too, right? Because if you're trying to give me that Pac-12 matters again message, which, listen, at this point I have to put them ahead of the Big 12 as they're currently constructed. That's a thing. And is the Big 10 still the clear number 2 in the conference? These questions need to start getting asked. Granted, only asked. I don't want any declarations made. But then at the end of the day, all we know for a fact is that the committee will overrate the ACC and thus Notre Dame as well.
We're not in that conference this year anymore, Kyle.
I didn't see
Notre Dame.
EJ, your thoughts? Where does USC go from where they are right now?
Well, first I was shocked that he actually lasted 7 years, 7th season.
This is the start of his 7th. Yeah, I'm super bummed that it didn't make it to like 17.
Yeah, I feel like he was on a hot seat every year. He was there. Every year. He was like, on a hot seat. Like, he just started like a year ago. What the hell?
Yeah.
But they're desperate. They're like UM down here. They're desperate for a winner again. It's been almost 20 years since they've been like relevant on the national stage. But I feel like a lot of this too also is, as Kyle just said, and I agree with 100%. It's not just the fact USC started slow; it's the environment around them. Because now the Pac-12 is back in the picture again. When you think Pac-12, what do you think first? Who's the first thing that comes to mind? USC.
Yeah, at least for me.
So they're not part of the party. So because they're not part of the party, they got to react. Now I'm not sure this is the right move either. To be honest, I can't speak on that to be honest. Because I mean, I don't remember last year. Last year was a blur because of COVID. Obviously,
yeah, they only played I think
5
games last year.
Weren't they a game away from actually going to the freaking playoff?
Yeah, allegedly.
That's what I'm saying. Granted, 5 games, but this does in a lot of ways feel reactionary, not just because of the USC slow start, but also the environment. Oregon's number 3 in the country. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. So I feel like USC has a little bit of FOMO.
Quick stat, yeah, nice. Quick stat to that end, gentlemen. Other than Pete Carroll, the 40-year-ish his time going back about 4 decades or so. Without Pete Carroll, they only have 4 10-win seasons, right? So it's not like they've gotten bad coaches since Pete Carroll, but the one with the longest tenure that I can think of immediately was let's put it this way. It wasn't exactly Sarkisian. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And we'll obviously talk about Ohio State here in a minute, but if
do we have to? I was joking.
I'd love to.
I love to this week, especially. I hate
if Oregon doesn't win that game, is USC as reactionary too? I think that's an interesting thought and play into this. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a shame to see him go. I really enjoyed his tenure, his time at USC. I wish we had gotten the news of his 6-year extension, but I think Bieniemy makes the most sense in terms of if they want to make the sexy hire. I don't think there's any names kind of floating around right now that they could kind of make the hire that they need to for the sake of their program, the sake of relevance, because they're going to need someone to come in and start recruiting ASAP if they want to start for next season too. That's why the mid or early season firings are usually pretty tough and not often seen. So I understand why they did it. It's probably a few years too late, but we'll see what they do. But the program is in dire need of making a splash of a hire at this point. I think they've gone pretty safe their last few hires and not really kind of taking a shot at someone that is kind of going to excite the fan base the way they need to. So they need to do that now.
No, I love that statement about the lack of a splash. One thing I wanted to add, Jim, I heard the talk of Eric Bieniemy as well, Matt, but let's put it this way. It's not so much people keep talking about, well, nobody wanted Eric Bieniemy. Listen, guys, I keep hearing about how smart this guy is, okay? I agree that he's that smart. I've seen the Kansas City offense. I know what's up. Does anybody ever stop to think that maybe, just maybe, he was smart enough to not take a bad NFL job?
He says on my pod last year too. I agree with you. I bought into that theory last year when he said on my podcast.
Yeah, well, hey, you understand great minds. You're a Patriot fan. You like Bill Belichick. He's a great mind. I get it. and what were the other jobs? Just as an example, the Jets, the Texans. Come on, guys. Bieniemy doesn't want those jobs. And hey, listen, next to the guys we mentioned, Chip Kelly, and then of course, what's going on with Oregon doing things again? They're probably wise to think of Bieniemy here. We'll see what happens.
Well, and you got to wonder too. There's been numerous instances of coaches that go from being a position coordinator and it doesn't work out as a head coach, and you got to wonder too if he's like, do I wonder if he questions, do I have what it takes to be a head coach? Do I want to make that leap right now? And those sort of questions as well. I don't know that they've ever been asked. And, I don't know that they'll ever necessarily be asked until if and when he either never becomes a head coach and retires, or he becomes a head coach and later on we find out why. But, you got to wonder if those sort of things come into play as well. Before we jump here to talk about what happened to Ohio State and where they go from here, Andrew asked PSU's Franklin possibly to USC. It's a popular pick. Contract just negotiated. He said he personally doubts it, but it's probably one of the few jobs he'd leave USC for. I mean, I've seen his name tossed about. I also saw, I think in his press conference this week, he gave a very strange answer to the question. And it doesn't necessarily mean that he's thinking about leaving or that there's been any discussion, but the way he worded it, and I'll try and find it here. But I mean, it's certainly possible, but I don't.
Let's be clear. USC is one of the top 5 jobs in the country.
Is it?
Regardless, I mean, forget where they are as a team. I'm just saying this in terms of attractiveness. Where they're located and all that. It's a top 5 job.
So let me get this straight, EJ. I mean, I'll grant you it's LA and in the sun, something that Florida has that brings actual top recruits to it on a regular basis. Yes, even ahead of friggin' Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. But what exactly do they have? The facilities don't match SEC quality from what I hear. And what's their situation? The 145 billion year old fossil that is the Coliseum? Please tell me what actually.
I get it. Is this based on attractiveness? Of course. I mean,
I wouldn't necessarily put it in the top 5 jobs. I mean, maybe top 5 jobs that will be open this year. But in terms of jobs overall, right now, I don't think USC is in those top 5 anymore.
Imagine you coach
like number 5.
You coach USC and you're the one that's responsible for turning things around. That's a big legacy play.
It is, but I don't know that. I mean, I hate hating on Penn State, but I don't even know that James Franklin is that splash hire that we're talking about. I mean, he's had some good seasons with Penn State, and he really kind of salvaged a situation in there. After O'Brien left, so kudos to him. But I don't even think that his name is a big enough name if USC is really trying to make a statement with the hire of their next coach.
He's definitely a tier two at best name. Looking at the landscape, I agree with you on that, Matt.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if there's any quote unquote tier 1s that are going to be available. I mean, so like your tier 2s might be your tier 1. It's and especially at this point of the season, because I think if you're going to target anybody in the college world, you're just going to play the interim game for the next 2.5 months. You know what I mean? So and maybe even if you're looking at a guy from the NFL, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody hired, but this was the quote from James Franklin today in Penn State's weekly press conference. He said, "I can't stand any form of distraction, so I'll discuss this with the leadership council so that we can make sure that all of our energy is on our preparation for Auburn, and that's how we'll handle it." I don't know, like, and I didn't hear exactly how he said it, but like being in this area, like I can hear James Franklin say that, and it sounds weird to me.
Where's the soundbite for Jamie Foxx from Ray when he says, "Can you match it?" That's what I'm hearing.
I thought it was a weird way.
It's a very PR response in a situation where he shouldn't be giving a PR response.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Like most times in that situation, I think if you're preparing for one of your biggest games of the season, I feel like you want your head coach saying, "I'm here. We have Auburn." It's
pull the ball track, man. We're on Auburn.
Exactly. Yeah. Pretty typical answer from Franklin for anything not related to the game. It is, which is maybe part of the reason that I'm not the biggest fan of the guy. He has he's a weird tone, weird attitude. I've never been a big James Franklin guy myself. But since we are talking about the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, let's talk about the result from this past weekend that, I didn't see coming. Kyle said he didn't see it coming. The Ohio State defense didn't see it coming either. Ohio State loses to Oregon. Oregon now the number 4 team in the country, and the Buckeyes fell to 10th, 9th,
10, yeah.
So my question here, and it defensively, that team looked very, very lost at a game at home against Oregon. Their offense started to click in the second half. My question here is, will Ohio State still make the college football playoff? Obviously, they're not a top 4 team sitting here right now. Their biggest game left on the schedule in terms of where teams are ranked right now is they play Penn State in about 6 weeks. But Matt, we'll start with you. We'll go in the other direction. Can Ohio State find a defense and still make the college football playoff?
Oh, well, that's a loaded question. Can they still make the college football playoff? Sure, there's a chance for it. Can they find a defense? I'm not really sure at this point, especially with what we've kind of seen out of the Big Ten so far. I mean, it's tough to say that they're going to make it all turn around and correct the actions they'll probably have a few other big games. I mean, Big Ten always kind of play each other tough for some reason. So I think if they run the table, they probably have the argument to get into the playoff, especially if these other teams keep winning as well. And if they're knocking off, ranked teams within the Big Ten, then for sure they can make it. But from what I saw against Oregon, I mean, it's tough to say that they're going to have that level of success moving forward.
EJ, what do you think?
Will they? Well, can they? Absolutely can. Will they? It's a good question. I think the bigger question is more so, do we know how good they are yet? We've seen 2 games, 1 win, 1 loss. Both games look shaky. Obviously, losing one of those games too, especially. But again, there's a lot of football to be played. And I think the big wrench here now, potentially, is the Pac-12 is entering the conversation now. So if the Pac-12 enters the conversation and the Big 12, and I guess the Big 12 at Oklahoma, if they this one beaten, obviously, right?
Yes.
Yeah. If they continue winning, obviously, that makes it harder. But because the Pac-12 has always been out of the conversation the last couple of years, the Big Ten always had a longer leash. You have a loss here, but if you run the table, you beat Michigan, and then you win the Big Ten title, you always see them slip in there. So I'm going to say yes, and I'm honestly going to still say yes for the time being, because I don't know who else in the Big Ten can beat them. But then again, we still don't know how good this team really is right now. So, but if the Pac-12, if Oregon's for real, and whatnot, Oklahoma on the table, then maybe that will change things up. But right now, I'm going to say yes and yes on both, honestly.
So in the AP right now, Ohio State's 9, Penn State's actually 10. Above them is Cincinnati, Texas A&M, Clemson, Iowa, Oregon, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama.
And they'll probably end up losing at one game at least going down the road. There's an Alabama in there that will lose. Georgia will probably lose Alabama at some point, right?
One of the top 2 is going to lose.
Right.
I mean, Texas A&M, they're going to play probably either Bama, Georgia, or both. So there's guaranteed losses in there. Yeah, Oregon, we got to find out about. So I mean, if Ohio State, wins out, and currently if Iowa can hold on to their spot, Iowa would remain above them, and they would play them in the Big Ten title game. The only current teams ranked on Ohio State's schedule is Penn State, who they host on October 30th, and Michigan, because Penn State 10th, Michigan currently 25. That's at the end of the year.
Expect Michigan to be ranked higher by the time that game happens, to the record.
More than likely. Should
be. Yeah. So like I said, I think this will all work itself out. I think the monkey wrench again is the Pac-12. If Oregon's for real and they start winning games beyond this weekend, then we have an issue.
Kyle, your thoughts?
That's an interesting point about the Pac-12, EJ, and I'm hard-pressed to disagree with you because I'm the one that just said about all the stuff they've done recently, but the Pac-12 is only a part. It is not the correct answer. Gentlemen, the correct answer is the Big Ten itself. Now, I think it's adorable that EJ still thinks that Michigan will be in the top 25 by that final game against Ohio State. I don't.
Okay.
I have no reason to believe that Wisconsin will remain at 18. I don't know if they'll be higher or lower, but I'm guessing lower. Does anybody in this room think Penn State will stay in the top 10? They shouldn't be there now. Okay.
Well, we'll know this weekend.
Well, facts of the case are thus. I mean, I get where you're going with this weekend's game because they're playing each other, but we're back to this whole BS that is the committee system. The reason why the American isn't ranked higher than the ACC as they should be is because they play each other, but they're seen as a weaker conference. Even though we all know the ACC is trash and they play each other, but they like them better, and they have people on the committee, so they get ranked higher when it comes time for the actual college football playoff playoffs. But here's this, gentlemen. A second SEC team is going to make the top 4 again, as it should, as the premier conference in college football. No ifs, ands, buts on that. And I can advocate as much for the American being underappreciated. I'm sorry, Cincinnati. The momentum behind which you were dragged by the UCF Knights is just not going to be enough. However, do I think the 4th team will be a Big Ten team? I'm not convinced. I also have no reason to believe Ohio State does run the table at this juncture. So let's put it this way. If they do run the table and still lose to an Iowa in the conference championship, do you put them in over a potentially undefeated Pac-12?
No,
absolutely not.
I'm with you. And by the way, Kyle, I agree with you. Like I when I said that about the Monkey Wrench, that was with the assumption that the SEC is taking 2 teams no matter what, because I always feel like that always happens no matter what.
That's because they're the premier. Listen, they're the best college football money can buy. We keep going over this.
Right.
The question is the Pac-12 going to Pac-12 itself this year, and Oregon loses to Oregon State at the end, and USC comes back and knocks off UCLA, and then everyone has 1 or 2 losses.
Because I think Clemson will win out the rest of the year. I mean, they should win out the rest of the year.
Well, have you looked at their schedule? I mean,
who's their last challenge at this point?
Right. Their last challenge was getting out of bed. There isn't a challenge.
Exactly.
There's not a team that is left on their schedule that's currently in the top 25. So what? You get Virginia Tech in the ACC title game. You get North Carolina in the ACC title. Like one of those two. Okay. Big
right.
Deal. Like seriously.
They could get Florida State in that title game. Florida State hasn't lost a conference game yet.
Stop. We're not doing that now. We are not doing that. No. We're not doing that. This is over. I haven't seen all I need to see after this past Saturday. I'm done.
Georgia Tech, NC State, Boston College, Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Florida State, Louisville, Connecticut, Wake Forest, South Carolina. That's the rest of Clemson's sketch. Like it's embarrassing. It's pathetic. I would love to see them lose one of the just to be gone, just to prove they shouldn't be there. But no, I think Ohio State has to win out.
Of course, absolutely, yeah.
To even be anywhere near the discussion, absolutely. So can they? Sure. Will they? I have watching their defense the first 2 weeks. I have no reason to believe that they will win the rest of their games. It's not a slight on their offense. I think their offense scored 45 and 28. Now they did get started a little bit late this weekend, but I have no faith in that defense. Now, obviously they have time to turn it around. They have Tulsa, Akron, Rutgers, Maryland, Indiana before they play Penn State. So there's time to get on track and feel confident about yourself before you play a team with the pulse again. But man, that defense just did nothing to convince me that they're going to turn it around. And
right, albeit small, extremely small sample size. Who, if the playoffs start today, who would be the 4 teams you put right now? Like, albeit small, it's based on 2 games. Like you obviously have Alabama. That's the shoe in.
Bama, Georgia, those are easy.
Right. You got to pull one. You got to pull one of the conferences. I mean, obviously, you got to put I guess Clemson was the obvious one because of just.
No, I don't think Clemson. I don't think Clemson.
It'll be Oregon, or it'll be Oregon in the Pac-12.
Probably Oregon right now.
So right there. So now your battle right now is more so between three conferences. Between
basically looking at Oklahoma, Iowa,
and Clemson.
I'm not even putting Clemson in there.
So would you put Cincinnati in ahead of Clemson at this point, Jim?
Personally, I would.
Interesting.
Like, and maybe this is just I hate Dabo Swinney and I hate the Clemson Tigers, but I mean you lost 10-3. Now Georgia's one of the best teams in the country, absolutely,
easily.
But we heard that this team reloads and top recruiting classes and this and that. We've seen Watson graduated, Lawrence came in, Lawrence is out. Now you got Uiagalelei. Why do we have any belief that he's not going to step in and make this offense work? They scored 3 points against Georgia.
Well, again, we're going on, competition, Georgia, of course.
Right. And so to me, obviously, again, we're going off of two games, but I don't think Clemson is one of the 4 best teams in the country. I would put Cincinnati above Clemson. I would probably put Iowa above Clemson at this point, and I would. Maybe.
I mean, I want to agree with you on that one, but
we're working on a 2-game sample size.
I mean, at this point, the UAB Blazers scored more against Georgia than Clemson did, so it's not far off to discredit them.
Matt, that's my brother.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, AJ Hawk, you did a good one on that one.
Well, honestly, dude, really, what's the point? Alabama's winning this whole fucking thing again. Does it matter? I mean, come on, let's be real.
Yeah,
like really.
Oh, look, I hate greatness. Wonderful. Future hate on Alabama. How does that work?
No, who said hating on them? I'm just saying that this is the obvious. They're going to win it again.
There's a difference between being tired of and hating on. What Alabama is, you can't help but respect it, but I can't be tired of seeing it.
No, Jim, because even the teams we're discussing here, the Oregons and the Georgias, like you can sit the bottom line. Alabama's there's Alabama, and then you have a discussion after that.
Basically,
that's what it is.
Think about it. You watch a lot of Alabama games on ABC, a network that's owned by Disney, which also owns Star Wars, which has the Imperial March. It all makes sense.
Yeah,
it all ties together.
Oh yeah, 6 degrees.
Kevin,
all right,
all right.
Let's look at a couple games this upcoming weekend before we switch gears to the NFL. Let's start Saturday, 3:30 on CBS. It is the Crimson Tide. They are 2-0. They're a 16-point road favorite at the Florida Gators, also 2-0. 56 is your over/under on this one. I have no. I'm just gonna go Alabama plus and over. I don't believe in Florida.
I'm with you,
EJ.
I'm with you, and plus I hate the Gators too. Anyway, so it doesn't matter. No, seriously, it's Alabama. Look, Alabama. This might again 2-game samples. Let's slow down, but this could be the best Alabama team we've seen. It could be. We'll see. It could be. Let's see how it goes. Yes, sounds good. Could be.
Ridiculous.
They got a quarterback. I mean, they got a great quarterback.
Matt.
First of all, love the Norm Macdonald clip there. R.I.P.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to say anything but Alabama to cover and the over.
Kyle, how about you?
Da, 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 da. That's just everything you
That one's pretty easy. All right, let's go to Saturday night. Happy Valley. Could be on Happy Valley, maybe. Number 22 Auburn, 2-0 comes into number 10 Penn State, also 2-0. 6.5-point favorite at home is the Nittany Lions. 53.5. This one is 7:30 on ABC. Game day also at this one. I think this one's going to be tighter than 6.5. I'll go Auburn to definitely cover. I'm actually going to go under on points. And I'm actually, you know what? I'm not even going to try and dance around it. I'm going to go Auburn with the upset here. Give me the Tigers. Let's get Penn State and those top 10 dreams just well out of the way early. Kyle, we'll go back to you this way.
Hold that Tiger. Oh wait. Sorry, that's
wrong Tiger.
Wrong Tiger. And listen, any excuse to do the Coach O impression's a good one.
I love it.
I'll tell you what. Now having had a chance to meet and interact with Gus Malzahn, I can kind of shape what kind of dude he is, but that doesn't mean I think they're going to win the game. As much as I am doubtful on Penn State, I don't know. I haven't seen enough Penn State football this season to really kind of get my juices flowing about how bad they probably are. But nonetheless, to spare my good friend G. Stelio, GWSTWLIO, I will probably say that that Auburn covers but does not win the football game. And I like the under, Jim. I think you got something there.
How about you, Matt?
You will never hear me pick Penn State ever to win a game.
There's a but.
There's no but. I'm not going to.
Here, let me translate. They go win. They go win. Okay.
And they very well might, but I will never condone it. Auburn with the points, and I'll also take the under. I think Auburn's kind of had it too easy. No, not to discredit Akron and Alabama State programs, but I think they'll struggle.
I have no idea who that is.
Look, I don't know who the hell wins this game, but I like Auburn the points, and I like the under on this one.
All right. Final college game for the week. Number 19, Arizona State. They are 2-0 and a 2-point road favorite at 2-0. And number 23, BYU. 50.5 is your over-under. This one later Saturday night, 10:15 on Eastern time on ESPN. Well, I'm definitely going to go over 50.5. Definitely feels low for these two teams. I'll go Arizona State to cover the 2 and obviously win outright. EJ.
I'll follow you with that one too. It's a West Coast game, so a lot of high scoring as always. So I'll go Arizona State to cover and win outright, and the over on this game as well. That feels low.
It does, and having bet the over on Boise State's game last week, and I actually did watch more than 4 minutes of a Boise State football game for the first time in 15 years. Thank you. So I will take Boise State and the over for sure.
All right, how about you, Kyle?
God, I'm sorry you were glad. I'm sorry that you were wasting your time 2 Thursdays ago watching a Josh Heupel game instead of UCF play Boise State, because that was a much better game. Anyways, for me, I never was all that hyped on BYU when they played Coastal Carolina last year. They were exposed like Janet Jackson in EJ Christian's favorite halftime show. So I'm right down the line on it. I think BYU gets spanked and sent home, and I wish I could make Herm Edwards jokes about the discipline that he would evoke upon them. Wait, I still can? Okay, sweet.
All right. Let's go here. Let's go to the NFL. Week 1 in the books. Monday Night Football. At least after the 11 o'clock Eastern time hour last night made things a bit interesting.
What a game.
I want to thank both the Raiders and the Ravens for waiting until Monday Night Raw was done for that to become an interesting watch. So I didn't miss anything while I was watching wrestling. Overreactions. There's always overreactions in the NFL and when it comes to NFL fans. But they none of them get better than the days following the end of week number 1 in the National Football League. So does anybody want to lead us off with one of the wilder overreactions they've heard?
The NFC West should be in the top 10 in the power rankings that anyone puts down. If you didn't do it, you suck at doing power rankings, right, EJ?
You're just mad because your Niners were in there.
I'm not mad that the Niners were in there. I'm mad because you
how about
bias from years ago
the lead against the second team in football and literally losing the game? How about that? And then fuck me on my cover too. I had you guys -9.
Hey,
how about that?
Listen.
Thing sucks.
Why do you care about the Lions? Seriously, I suck at golf.
You guys were about to have the top 10, 14 top 10, then you blew that fourth quarter lead and almost lost the game.
So because you're a degenerate, it's the Niners' fault. Got it.
Degenerates come up next after this podcast. Literally. Now, you said you said your record is the whole not having all 4 teams in the West in the top 10.
No, but seriously, I really think that these 4 teams that are in the West and are all have a victory, like they're among the 4 teams in the league that are amazing.
Well, I already said that I predicted all 4 teams go to playoffs this year. I made it quite clear. You
did steal my answer. You did make that clear when you came out with that
your answer. Actually, I did. Yeah, go ahead. My reaction really for this week is the whole Green Bay Packers narratives and Aaron Rodgers and all that. Let it settle a little bit. Like, are we sure New Orleans is good? I mean, they could be really good. I mean, I said coming into the year that the most interesting person coming into the season was Jameis Winston, because if you can't make it work with Sean Payton, just get out of the league. Don't bother, because Sean Payton is a genius.
Yeah,
Gary Collins. Yeah. So I mean, let's see what happens on Monday night. Green Bay will have about 8 days to rest. To lick the wounds and to destroy Detroit in a way that San Fran should have. but this, like Aaron Rodgers says, relax.
RELA.
There's 17 weeks left, guys. We added another game. Remember?
That is accurate.
There's a 2018 season left. That's what
I'm going to forget that one. Mine were kind of both tied to that game, like the Packers being dead, and also I saw a few people overreacting to in a positive way to the Saints. Now, the Saints may end up being really good. I don't know. Jameis looked good. The offense looked good. The defense did a good job at containing the Packers, but again, it's one game. I still think that the Buccaneers are the best team in that division.
Oh, no question, Nab. I will say this much though: the one consistent for the Saints the last couple of years has been the defense. So if at least we know that's still pretty good. Obviously, again, it's Jameis. If Jameis continues to play efficient football, we may have a bracket buster. If the West don't take 4 teams, the Saints could be the wild card that slip in there. I don't know.
I think the key with Jameis is going to be when you get into tight game situations, and if he makes a mistake or two, does he have the confidence to overcome them and put the pass behind him? Does he have the confidence in a tight game with one of the better defenses in the NFL when he faces tougher defenses to not make the mistakes we've seen him make over the course of his career? Do I think that being with the Saints the last 2 seasons and being behind Drew Brees and being with Sean Payton, do I think that's going to make Jameis Winston a better quarterback? It absolutely should. But I want to see when he gets in these tough game situations what he's going to end up doing.
Absolutely.
By the way, can we please acknowledge that Jameis leaves? They improve the O-line for old man Bieber Brady because he can't move. Maybe he got that upgrade in Nolans. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe.
It's a good point.
Fair point.
Matt, any overreactions that you saw?
Yeah, mine's a little more low key. I was gonna try to take this time to take a stab at the Cowboys fans that were overrating their moral victory. Instead, I will turn to a former Dallas Cowboy in Andy Dalton and say we do not need to start Fields just yet. He is the heir apparent. I don't think Andy Dalton lost them that game against the Rams. I think the defense and the secondary lost them that game. But I saw a lot of people on Twitter going on and on about how Fields should be the starter, especially on a drive where Dalton drove them 92 yards and then Fields ran it in 4 yards for the touchdown. And they said, see, they should just have him in the whole time. So there's my overreaction for the week. Let's be patient with Fields and not get him killed against one of the better defenses in the league and Aaron Donald.
I was arguing with a guy on Monday night or Sunday night, and because he was saying, you know, why isn't Fields out there? You know, this should be Fields' team. And I was like, and this was, you know, midway through the fourth quarter when the game's already out of hand. I'm going, why? Like, even if the Bears hand him the keys for next week, which I don't think they will, and I don't think they should. Mm-hmm. The offensive line is a huge part of the reason as well why the Bears lost that game and couldn't get things going. Now, yes,
dumb sports fans, I swear.
Like yes, Justin Fields is more mobile than Andy Dalton. Nobody's disputing that, but right, nobody's disputing that fact. But I'm like, my whole point was, why, even if you are going to turn the keys over to him next week, why would you put your future, your against that defense in a game that is already over, that is pretty much already over? So like it does not make sense to put him at that risk.
I have one more reaction.
Let me get one more thing in with Bears, gentlemen. Okay, if you're a Bears fan and you're arguing for this year, that's the mistake. I'm not saying you're stupid for doing it, because there's a bunch of people that are. Okay, but I had a conversation with the 3-point conversions, Raphael Haynes. Okay. And he agrees with me as an avid Bears fan. I'm not just saying that because he's my boss over at the 3-point conversion and he helped me cut awesome videos for the UCF games. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. But, bing! But,
there it is.
But as a Bears fan, look at the rest of the NFC North. Aaron Charlie Rodgers is going to be gone, right? People will scoff at Goff. And Minnesota, as far as I know, will still be tied to Kirk Cousins' contract. And if I'm a Bears fan, yeah, I like that. Meanwhile, I am the only team in the North that could potentially be on the rise, because I'm about to get Justin Fields under center, who has a chance to be the best quarterback in franchise history. Yes, I know, a low bar. And that's 1 year less. I'm in contract cap hell. You're arguing for next year, Bears fans.
Great point, though.
And trust me, at least it's not as bad as those who dealt with it in Miami.
And let me be clear as well that there were zero Bears fans that I saw calling for Fields. This was every other fan base.
Oh yeah,
like I know a few Bears fans, maybe two, and the two of them were not advocating for Dalton to be benched.
Yeah, I know a couple Bears fans as well, and the calls were not coming from inside the house. Let me say
right.
These were definitely
right.
Phone booth outside of a 7-Eleven, and I was drunk at 3 a.m. It was those sort of situations.
One more reaction, real quick. One more reaction. Sure. This is going to be more on a local side here, living in South Florida, the Miami Dolphins. I love the Dolphins. After my second team, I call them. I root against them once every 4 years when they play the Giants.
You mean twice? Patriots.
Shut up. But calm down. Like I had a couple people. I did my rankings today. Why are those not top 10? Like, did you see a top 10 team on that field? Like, you literally are a fumble from losing the game. Like, relax. Seriously, I love the Dolphins. I hope they do great. I hope they make playoffs this year, whatever. But, dude, not a top 10 team just yet. We'll find out this week, though. They play Buffalo.
And also, this isn't a shot at you. Like, people who overreact to power rankings always crack me up.
Great.
Power rankings are like literally just a writer's opinion on the top 10, top 5, bottom 5, whatever the ranking system that is being put out there. It's literally just somebody's opinion. So like somebody getting fired up as it's like,
especially when he had a homer pick of having the Giants at 31. Like, come on.
And honestly, I consider him at 32, to be honest with you. And by the way, here's when we do those power rankings. This guy here on the right side here, top right corner here, he's always shits on my rankings every single year for the last 10 years.
Oh, that is no, that is completely inaccurate. Because when you've gotten it right, I also
See
told
that guy?
no.
A handsome fucker right there.
You are fake news. You are fake news. Wrong. Did you get that take from China? Is that what you did? No, listen, man.
China.
There we go.
Listen, man. And like you make that joke, but honestly,
Don't be rude.
Okay? But at the end of the day, if you're inclined to have your own version of a wardrobe malfunction and expose yourself as a basketball analyst, you do that.
Oh Lord. I thought my rankings this week was pretty good. Actually, I thought my rankings was actually perfect. Honestly,
Yeah. Honestly, number 10 was the only thing I didn't like.
number 10 was who was number 10? The Bills.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, can't please everybody.
And before we get to pick of Matt, was I overreacting to the Cowboys' loss? Is that what you were implying?
That's definitely
Not you personally, but
Okay.
there have been plenty of Cowboys fans who have been talking about how the 0-1 is a better look than certain wins.
Yeah, I mean,
within the division.
Look, I thought the Cowboys were going to lose by a lot more than they lost on Thursday. Like I was happy with what I saw from them on Thursday night. I was
more than you did. Shit.
I was pleasantly surprised by the defense. They were far from perfect. The offense was far from perfect, but the offense did what I expected the offense to do. With a healthy Dak Prescott in that offense, they're going to put up yards and points. It's all a matter of what can the defense do? Can you not give up? When I saw the look on Tom Brady's face when they gave him like a minute 19, I was like, yep, seen that face before.
The nice $15 million pass blocker you guys have in the backfield too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, when you're and that's the problem too, is your health of your offensive line is already down. To start the year, although Zach Martin,
I more than you did in your team. I took the Cowboys +9. Just saying.
Yeah. So I mean, you made the smart play there. Yeah. I just thought with I mean, Dak didn't play in the preseason, coming off and I thought that the ankle was going to be fine. I thought it was going to be more the shoulder. Now he didn't have as much downfield as he has in previous years, but he also didn't need it with the weapons. Like,
can we mention the defense that made Patrick LeVon Mahomes the second look pedestrian in the Super Bowl? By the way, I think that's fair.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the Buccaneers are, I mean, the best team in football, the second best team in football. I mean, so to play well against that team in that environment on Thursday, I was pleasantly surprised.
There's a raucous crowd there in Tampa Bay. That environment.
I just mean going on the road with the
fair enough, because I feel like that was 62% Cowboys fans.
Well, I mean, that kind of does
they
happen.
Well, man, they're America's team,
especially on the day you're raising your Super Bowl banner.
Well, that's
shame
true.
on you, Florida.
Well, I mean, but it's the same reason why there's so many visitor fans at Cowboy Stadium, because it's an easy ticket sell. It's an easy money grab. But all right, let's go to games this coming weekend, and we'll start with this guy's team and that guy's team. Sunday, 1:00 on Fox. It is the 1-0 49ers. They're a 3-point road favorite at 1-0 Philly. 48 is your over under on this one. I'll say this about the Eagles. Now, it's yes, they did play the Falcons, but you can only play the games as scheduled. You can only play the games as they're put in front of you. And teams look bad. There are teams that look bad against bad teams. The Eagles look good against a bad team. That's all you can ask from a team. The 49ers are a good team that didn't look great against what I think is a bad team. So this to me is actually kind of a hard game to pick. If I wasn't a Cowboys fan, so I'm going to go the 49ers plus. And and I'll go over on the points because I think both offenses, again, I'm going off one game, but I think I offensively both of these teams are good. So I will go 49ers plus and the and the over as well. EJ.
Over 15 and a half. Is it 15 and a half?
Yeah. I have it at 48.
Oh, really? I'm going through my list of my podcast I record in like another hour or so in my picks, and it's 15 and a half here.
This isn't your podcast, DJ. This is my show.
Take it.
I fucking love you, Jay. But the fact I'm taking over 15 and a half should tell you, high scoring game here coming up.
He's trying to decide who should go next.
Matt, go ahead.
Who's Kyle? Oh, Matt.
Yeah, I'll take the over as well. I'm a realistic Eagles fan, so at this point, I don't really know what we have. So at this point, I'm not going to pick against them just because of what I saw. Later in the season, you might get me picking against them a little more frequently. You might not. But for this week, green glasses are still on. Let's go for 2-0. Plus, I'm getting 3 points. So
Do you have a Homer sound effect there by any chance? Homer.
No.
No, not exact. No, I don't really have. I mean, I have a Homer saying things, but it's not. They're not.
Homer saying things counts. It doesn't always have to be dough.
I will say though,
No idea who that is.
I will say much about Philadelphia. Like I'm really curious to see how well how good this team really is, because I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan. Like, on one hand, I'm like, fuck the Eagles, but on the other hand, I'm like, Jalen Hurts, I'm so proud of you, man. Keep plugging away, man.
On the third hand, I'm fuck the Eagles.
Yes. Free hand.
Well, and you know what? If they lose, it's still a moral victory, right? Because apparently the Niners are the better team. So as long as they can keep it close, then that counts as a win.
That's funny. You guys played each other today.
Now you're getting it, Matt. You're seeing how things work around here. Kyle, go ahead.
I love the subtle dunking on our host tonight by our man Matt AJ Hawk here. Oh my gosh.
It's great.
Like, I come out and listen. I openly throw verbal hands at EJ with no regard for anything. And
I'm so bruised up for the last like 8-9 years. Are you fucking me up, bro? And I can't come at you. You're 7'5". I can't mess with that.
You keep coming back to this dysfunctional relationship. That's a you problem, okay? Wait, why is a Cowboys fan laughing at that joke? Anyways, for me, I know. Thank you, buddy. South Park references win all the time.
I love that one.
Back on track. Okay. I know EJ is going to call me a homer because that's what he does. But the reason why I'm picking the 49ers to win is simply because they're good at places that the Eagles happen to be particularly bad, in my opinion. Jalen Hurts can move, but will he be able to move against everything that the Niners will throw at them? He's a younger quarterback too. Listen, maybe third or fourth year Jalen Hurts defends all this. Yes, I'm implying he'll be a longer term starter. I said it. Deal with it, EJ Christian. I'm in your boat there. I think he's going to do pretty well.
Yes.
That or Philly will continue to draft badly at the position other than him.
Hopefully.
Anyways, no offense, Matt. But for me, I think, and again with the Niners, I always have to add, if everyone stays healthy, I don't think the Matt Breida situation's all that bad. I think in true Shanahan family history fashion, basically anybody with any remote talent can run well in this offense. It's a matter of, do we get that continued performance from Jimmy G or Trey Lance, whoever happens to be at the field at the time. And I don't know that the Niners will dawdle off in this particular game. So I got the Niners here. For giggles, I don't think they cover, but I will definitely take the over.
All right. Then we go to Sunday, 1 o'clock, CBS, the 1-0 Texans. I figure this is the only time I'm going to pick a game that involves the Houston Texans this year. They travel to 0-1 Cleveland, and boy, I mean, I still believe in the Browns, but man, that game had vintage Browns written all over it in that second half. They're an 11.5-point home favorite. 48 is your over under on this one. the Texans surprised people, or maybe the Jaguars surprised. I don't
that bad.
Something might have been surprising in that game. I don't know.
One can be surprised if they care, Jim.
well, that's true.
Hold on, got a kid awake. Oh, shoot.
This is why we can't have nice things.
No.
Hey, by the way, they're still sleeping.
But it's going to be the Browns. It's going to be the Browns plus in this one. I think what happened with Houston was more about the fact that Jacksonville is just that bad.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think there's any false hope here when it comes to the Texans. So Browns plus, and I'm going to go under just because the Browns might score 40, but I don't have faith that the Texans can score 9. Kyle.
The only thing that might be more annoying than the Browns hype going into this game is the Browns whining laments if they lose, but I don't think that'll happen. Give me all the, yes, and the win, cover, over, blah, blah. And as much as I think Baker Mayfield is being carried by this group, it's all good. They're going to crush the Texans handily.
Amen.
Matt.
Yep, I agree. I think the Browns got to come back and make a statement this game. We should be getting OBJ back, if I'm reading reports correctly, so that'll help things out.
My fantasy team hopes so.
Yeah, well, my fantasy team is very thankful for all the experts who said that I should not be starting Ingram at all, because that was 28 points that I left on my bench.
Good job,
man. I mean, I still won, but I like to demoralize opponents when we get to fantasy football. So yeah, I'll take the Browns. I'll take the over on the spread. They'll probably let off the gas at the end, and Tyrod will throw a couple touchdowns.
the silhouette that is EJ Christian 7. What do you got for this one?
No, I got the Browns covering this game, winning easily. And by the way, if you're a Browns fan, you should feel pretty good. This is now 2 times you played the Chiefs in Arrowhead, and both games competitive. So obviously you're obviously in the conversation. You should be encouraged.
Moral victories.
I was praying for that.
Oh, I love it. All right, let's talk about those Chiefs. The 1-0 Chiefs, 2.5-point road favorite at 0-1 Baltimore after just silliness at the end of that game last night. 55.5 is your over under on this one. Sunday night, 8:20 Eastern time on NBC and Peacock as well. This one's interesting. I think a 2.5-point number is pretty good. I do like the over even at 55.5. The Chiefs looked a little suspect, and I think the Ravens need to respond to the loss. So I'll actually go the Ravens to cover the 2.5 and actually pull off the upset as well. I call it an upset, but the Ravens. I got Ravens and the over. EJ, if you're still there,
I'm sorry here. You guys go first. I'll go first. Whatever. Matt, go first.
Matt, go ahead.
It's kind of hard for me to pick the Ravens at this point. I think the big question mark going into the season was what's the running game going to look like? And outside of one big run, it was really the Lamar show. And we saw what he did when he was handed the keys and said, run and throw, and let's hope for the win. They did not get it against I would say, mediocre at best Raiders team. So for me to say that they're going to rebound against the defending AFC champs is kind of a tall task. So I have the Chiefs covering, and I will take the over.
All right.
Even with everything you said there, Matt, I got to tell you, it'd still be a tall task for the Ravens. Although, listen, I still believe them being a big deal in the 2021 season. This week ain't it. They cover, but they do not win. But take the over. There's going to be some fireworks.
Oh, definitely over here. 55.5. Take it.
Take it.
And then do you have Chiefs or Ravens, EJ?
I'm leaning. Oh shit, this is tough because it's in Baltimore. Bounce back. Man. I mean, man. I guess Kansas City. I guess.
All right, that's what we're asking you to do. Guess. Yes.
Listen, dude, silhouette.
All right, then finally, two teams that surprised in different ways. The 0-1 Lions are at the 0-1 Green Bay Packers. The Packers 10.5 point favorite in this one. 49 is your over under this one. Monday night, of course, 8:15 Eastern time on ESPN. The Lions, they did their absolute best. They tried everything they could, and they still lost. Do we know what the Lions with Jared Goff are going to be? I think it's about what we saw them to be. They're going to win some games. They're obviously going to lose more. I think this is more about the Packers getting on track. 10.5 based on this past Sunday. Now, again, we don't necessarily know what the Saints are. I think might still have a little bit of a bumpy ride. I'll go the Lions to cover that 10.5 by the slightest of margins. The Packers are going to win this game. And I think I'm going to go under 49. I think there's still some issues, whether it's just getting everybody on the same page with Aaron Rodgers and that offense. And the Lions, I don't have a lot of faith in them to score a lot of points. So Lions to cover, and I'll actually go under. Kyle.
For me, I definitely have the over. Let's get that out of the way. I have no reason to believe the Packers defense will be anything great. And Aaron Charlie Rodgers, just like Tom Brady, even once a year has that the F game, like the F you doing game, and there's nothing wrong with having it the first week. It actually makes the most sense that you would, especially with all the trash, crap, and nonsense that's been going on. I mean, Aaron Charlie Rodgers is going to turn it around, and even if they don't, the Packers have enough weapons to be relevant. And I scoff at Goff, man. Listen, I've been watching him for how long in a division where my team plays, and I've never found him all that interesting. I don't care if he made it to a Super Bowl. He didn't make the Super Bowl. That defense and that running back made it to those running backs, actually, because by the end of the year, Todd Gurley was hurt. But interesting, the guy that was more involved with getting there, the quarterback was more Gurley than Gurley. Anyways.
I was going to say, is Jared Goff just not like a prettier Trent Dilfer in that offense?
Ouch! Oh, God.
That
hurt more than anything I saw.
That's mean even for you.
I'm not even sorry.
I know you're not.
Did you pick
He had the over.
Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the Packers are going to make a statement. While we were discussing this here, I did do a little research here into the history of the last 11 years or so. In those 11 years, the Packers have beat the Lions by double-digit points 4 times. The Lions have beaten the Packers by double-digit points 5 times. So it's tough for me to say, despite Rodgers wanting to come out and make the statement, that it's going to be that much of a statement. So I think the Packers win. I think a lot of points are scored, but I don't think the Packers win by more than 10.5, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No. EJ, what do you got?
Well,
nothing, apparently.
You killed him with that comment you made about Goff.
He's dead.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry about that. No. The best cure to turn things around is to play a bad team. And that stat is actually I like that stat, man. You put out there, but this Detroit team's really bad. I mean, sans the last 10 minutes of that game against San Francisco. Come on, Niners, get shit together. Minus 9 fucking people. Anyway,
Giants.
I do think Green Bay this will be a blowout. I see this being like 37-10. I'll take the under, but I see this the Packers cover this game, and this will be the game that Aaron Rodgers turns things around.
All right, that's gonna do it for us. Matt, we'll start with you. Got anything to plug as we wrap this thing up?
Sure, why not? You can follow me on Twitter. It's at 3CT Affiliate, and the letter A, Philly as in Philadelphia, the number 8. On Thursdays, you can hear me talk about pro wrestling. Not just WWE. We talk about AEW now sometimes. I'm really trying to make us talk about Impact Wrestling, but
I
that
have no
requires
idea
me
who that
to
is.
consistently watch Impact Wrestling, and I fell off that after 2 weeks.
It happens.
It's
We've
still
all
a goal
tried
of
it.
mine, but yes, on Thursdays you can listen to me at 3 Count Thursday.
EJ, you able to plug anything? You want to plug anything?
Earth Speaker Podcast, Take 3 Wrestling Podcast, Twitter, EJ Christian 7. That's it, I guess, right?
That sounds about it. Kyle?
Hey guys, thanks for having me aboard. As always, you can find my work on the 3-point conversion. That's the number 3, not the word 3, the 3pointconversion.com. Of course, check out actually some YouTube stuff. EJ, that doesn't apply to you. Some YouTube stuff.
That's being a dick now.
Previewing and previewing and covering games involving the UCF Knights, as well as my written content regarding the UCF Knights and their recent entrance to the Big 12 conference. So all that is incredibly interesting, and I'm following that as it goes. So check all that out on the 3pointconversion.com. Plus, allegedly will be actually airing on Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. The Beyond the Buzzer podcast, again, doesn't apply to EJ because we have it on Facebook Live, so there's an actual video to it. Come and check that out as well if you're available. Then also my work with oldschool101.com, and of course, my work with Hilarity by Default. I am told that we will be posting episodes on the YouTube channel here very shortly on Hilarity by Default. That's the Hilarity by Default YouTube channel. Damn it, EJ. Why do you do audio only? You're killing me. That is a listen I'm losing every week. Jesus.
I love you.
Until next time, everybody.
All right, you can follow me at Big Jim Sports. Make sure you are following the show itself. We are at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook and on Twitter. We are at Huddle Up Pod on Instagram. You can subscribe to the show, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and everywhere else. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can get our merchandise over at whatamaneuver.net. Our home network, of course, is NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. Our secondary home is the Leap Sports and Music Network, LEEIB Sports.com. Until next week, stay safe, stay smart, and go for the win.